on in to Frank's retirement home. We've got ourselves grand finals tonight, and it's sure to be a good one. My name is Anthony Malum, joined tonight by Freaky G with Decan on production. And Freaky, we're starting off with awards.
Yep, it's time to give away those awards to the people who worked all season long to gain those very small trophies that they get to take home, regardless of how far they made it into the season. It's always a good. Let's not waste time talking about the game when the awards are right in front of us.
And it looks like we're going back and forth with sound. So for heard at the moment, yeah, we got awards on the horizon as we get this set up and figured out. There will be awards. Not sure what was heard, what wasn't heard, but yeah, we're close to awards. And Freaky and I are both excited. Long story short, it's a great way to set up, and really excited to get into finals between Kaldr's Good Boys and Death Dealers, which will follow the Kane Awards that will come right on after. And I don't know, like we said, Freaky, awards are really fun to me. I feel like they're one, of course, obviously tough to get, big to get to, but it's an extra added superlative. It's an extra added oomph, and I think it's cool to be right before finals too.
Yeah, this is the best time to do it because after everyone's had their say in these games and everyone's put out their effort, you get to really see who actually made the impact no matter where they were in the season. They could have been the last place team and you still could have been good enough at that point to make something happen and get yourself the awards that are going to be given away. And it's like you said, it's just such a good time, and it puts a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, exactly. And there definitely is it's a perfect time for that, especially with so much excitement smite wise. Looks like we're back again. So back and forth. Here, you want me to go ahead and do we want me to read out the awards in the meantime? What's the call here, gang? What's the best route? I don't want to take away from the awards popping up in fun time, but we can also go through and read. All right, so we are going to go ahead and read them out while we've got the awards on. So, am I stopping? Am I pausing? Want to make sure everyone gets the proper proper hype up on their awards. Don't want to take it away from anybody. So am I pausing or am I good to go? All right. So first up, best solo. Congrats and happy smiles to Stretch Milk taking the award for best solo.
Very good on Stretch Milk's part. Did a very good job this season, and he's on that Calder's Good Boys team too.
So we'll be excited to see Stretch Milk as we go forward. Now, best jungle is up next, and I know I saw Noxus in chat, so congratulations to Noxus 2015 for winning best jungle.
Again, another Calder's Good Boy player. Not surprised to see him here.
Not at all, and a player I'm familiar with as well. I've seen around the amateur scene, so no surprise to me to see them get selected for best jungle. Best mid is up next, and that best mid is Hershey.
Yep, that's a Death Dealers player if I'm not mistaken. He's have got a really good Giannis, has made quite a showing on that pick and some others this season. So great to see him up here.
All right, moving on to best support. And that best support is going to be somebody I'm sure everybody's familiar with. I know I am. El Dirty Bubble taking the best
And
support.
yep, just another player in one of those top seeded teams. Not a big surprise, and has quite a bit of respect across not just this league but the amateur scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Dirty Bubble is a nasty support. Nasty in a lot of roles actually, which makes it even more exciting because I've just somebody we see all the time. All right, next up we do have best ADC. And speaking of names, I'm familiar with best ADC Aloydi.
Another name, I mean, like you said, seen across the amateur scene and well known in Franks, very deserving of this award as well.
Absolutely, Aloydi is somebody who I know likes to play those hyper carry ADCs as well.
Hmm.
All right. Chilla's team is up next, and Chilla's team is going to be Cyber Otters.
Yeah, a very deserving award for them. I'm actually friends with the jungler that was on that team when they were still on their run, and chill is a very good definition for him and the rest of the players on that roster.
For sure. Cyberpunk Otters too are an org that I feel like I don't get to see enough. So love to see them there. Um, yeah, it does feel like there's somebody who doesn't agree with those awards for sure. Going on to the next one, gonna be biggest yapper. Oh boy, biggest yapper gonna be Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I mean that definitely is that is probably the most deserved award of any player in the Canes division. Guy likes to talk, sometimes good things, sometimes questionable.
Sometimes questionable. Okay, I like that.
Hmm.
Just trying to figure out if we're pausing in the break and a lot of different information. But next up, as we keep going through awards in that meantime, coolest captain is up, and it's going to be Mr. Nacho.
Oh, hey, person playing in finals as well. I definitely can with
Shocker.
my interactions. Yeah, hey, I mean, you know, with my interactions with Nacho, he's pretty chill, pretty cool dude. I like the guy, so I think this award is perfect.
All right, still have more. The biggest meta slave, so the biggest person who sticks to the meta and doesn't go outside of it. That is going to go to a name we've seen before already so far, Noxus.
Yep,
And there's a picture of Thanatos here, so
coming out with the double awards given there. Very, very good job on his part to not only walk away with the best jungle, but also proving that in that jungle role, uh, he sticks to what's good.
you really can't complain too much about sticking with what's good. And speaking of things you can't complain about, most surprising team and sticking with the theme of them being familiar teams we're about to see, Freaky G. We got
Yep.
Death Dealers taking most surprising team.
Yeah, I think this team kind of shocked everybody from the get go. They had a really strong start, and I don't think anybody really expected this team to come out and look so good. And I mean, obviously they look good because here they are playing in the grand finals for Kane's division.
No surprise once again. And hey, what's up next? Something we're both familiar with. Best caster, I guess, is the exact wording of this award, and it goes to anyone but Zek Vexel. Keck W, not Zek. Anybody but Zek is the
Yeah, that
best
guy.
caster, I guess.
I mean, he's not here, so we can say what we want. But yeah, no, screw that. He's terrible. Worst caster ever.
Yeah, absolutely the worst. Totally don't cast with Zek all over the place, different games. The guy sucks. Hate that guy. Best league owner. Gee, who's this
Ooh,
going to be? Drum roll, please. Going to go to Frank Sr.
wow.
So
Massive
shocked.
shock. Yeah, massive shock. I would have never guessed that Frank Sr. would have been the best league owner. The competition was real stiff too. Don't get me wrong.
Shout out to the Izanami and the teleport picture that are both a part of this slide that you guys can't see. Got to make sure I shout out those when they're most appropriate. I'm sure at some point in the near future that'll be put to a spot where everybody can take a look at the nice slides that were made. But those are our awards Freaky G. So we're getting closer and closer to actually hopping into game and getting our picks and bans online.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to be exciting. I mean, I don't know about you, Anthony, but I feel like picks and bans are just as exciting, if not more sometimes, especially depending on that meta, than the game itself. I mean, obviously, the game is very exciting. We all come here to watch people play, but watching the strategies unfold in the picks and ban phase is also just as interesting.
Yeah, exactly. The where do we go kind of thing.
Mhm.
Earlier today I got to cast finals leading up to this, and it was really interesting. It was a European meta, so always a different look, but the bans were identical for game 1 and game 2. Game 3 it was time to make adjustments, and both teams replaced one of their three go-to bands with match specific bands. So your best of 5 mini metas or best of 3 mini meta in this case that appear will be, I'm sure, prevalent once again.
Yeah, and that's the best part about a final situation. When you get into playoffs, everyone knows where the meta is sitting, and everyone who's generally keeping up with patch notes have a pretty good idea of what's good and what's not, and how you want to play around it. Do you want to stick to that meta, or do you want to deviate from it and maybe throw the team off their game? And that's what's so interesting about playoffs in specific. When you get to the picks and bans, and whenever you get to the strategies in game, how they unfold themselves inside that platform, and it's just so interesting when you get to this point in any long form tournaments.
Exactly. That was worded very well and very accurately. But we are in picks and bans now between Kaldr's Good Boys and Death Dealers. And first characters off the board are Vamana and Thanatos. The Thanatos, especially after checking out those awards, no surprise, certainly, even with a lot of players flexing around their roles. If it's comfortable for one player on a team, it's safe to assume it's comfortable for the team.
Yeah, this Thanatos ban is not just a ban based on how good this god has been throughout the beginning of the year. It's also based on, not giving the best jungler in Kane's division a pick that he is very familiar with. So it's a meta ban, but it's I feel more so a targeted ban, and I respect
Exactly.
it.
Got to make sure you control what you don't want to deal with from the other team. Comfort is always king. You hear that at any level of play. So we'll see if it continues to be the true king. Aside from the Thanatos, though, solo lane bans. No surprise. Wukong, Osiris off the table. Hachi Montera as well, but freaky, you know what got through? And boy, is it a scary one that did get through. Belota.
Mhm. This god has been in contention since the beginning of the year. We had that small little meta shift where Conduit Jim was really strong, and we were seeing a lot of Guardians getting played in the solo lane. Now we've shifted completely back with Equinox coming into the picture and Conduit Gem getting nerfed again back to its original state. This god is so strong with Equinox and makes such good use of it. I'm not surprised to see her get top picked.
I'm not either. A lot of times we're even seeing a double up where you're seeing Bologna run with an Erlang to really double up on the Equinox strength and also on that dive. The response for Death Dealers is to lock down Agni and Sobek. So good top 2 picks for Death Dealers as well. Agni doing tons of damage right now in a great spot. And Sobek feels like kind of a nice all-arounder, but also offers some flex potential.
Yeah, he can go into solo lane, he can go into support, he can kind of go wherever he needs to, depending on what the team needs. But the best part about this pick is that you can flex how you want to play in both roles. You want to be more supportive, you can hang back with your carries and do some peeling, or you can dive into that backline very easily with the dash and disrupt a team. It's not very difficult with this character.
Not whatsoever. And, honestly, with Calder's Good Boys taking their time for their second selection after picking up this Bologna, it gives us time to really dive in deep. And they could go support, they could go warrior. They got lots of options. Lots of options.
Yeah, they can go just about anywhere they want to right now. It's early enough in the pick phase, and the Ganesh is a very good lock in here. And looks like we're going to go with this Thor pick third slot. Now, we've been seeing a lot of those attack speed jungles, as you said, pairing it with the Erlong. Thor doesn't really make great use of Equinox, but you know what he makes great use of? Anything else. He is a strong jungler, and he is very strong in the team fights, very strong in the early phase.
One of the constants of Smite is this Thor, so locking it down and getting in the top three, especially when it's been getting banned even more so lately than it was towards the beginning of year 11, it's nice to grab. And Mr. Nacho, or excuse me, the Sign of Death Dealers, Mr. Nacho was the player who grabbed it up. The Surtur lock in. Surtur, a character who I feel like is being undervalued in this current meta. Not necessarily somebody who makes the same use of Equinox, but still a character who has gotten some love changes in year 11, Freaky, and who is performing very well.
Yeah, he got a pretty good shift in his passive. I think that's really helped him. Beforehand, you had to get a kill with your one to stack it, and I think it stopped stacking. No one was capping stacks on it, don't get me wrong. And I'm probably not still capping stacks on it, but they've changed it now where just hitting a minion with your one gets you a stack, and it progresses differently depending on what you're hitting as well. But the main thing is you don't have to kill things to get your stacks on your passive, and it stacks at a much higher rate, and it has a higher uh, finite resource. It's a higher finite resource now at like 999 stacks. But aside from that, the rest of his kit's also really strong, and that's what makes him still really relevant in this current meta.
Exactly. And having that varied potential could be pretty significant. An interesting ban I did see go the way of Kaldr Scoopboy is banned out by Death Dealers. The Kukulkan, less shocking and nobody's surprised, but the Zeus is really interesting. Is that a target ban for Kaldr Scoopboys?
Maybe a little bit. It's Zeus and general artillery mages have just been doing a really good job. I wouldn't necessarily say Zeus is an artillery mage, but he does do a lot of damage very quickly. He's very bursty, and he does really enjoy the changes to some of those pin items that we got in a couple updates ago, and just makes him really strong now. Also, getting the ability to stack his passive charges with the shield toss again just made him even stronger. Now you don't have to work as hard to
Right.
stack passives. I'm not sure if it's a targeted ban so much, but it is a very good ban in the case of they don't have their mid yet anyways.
The Rama Artemis matchup in the Hunter role. That's a
Mhm.
that's a tale as old as time. In Smite, Rama, somebody we see quite frequently, but Artemis is up and down. Artemis is in a good spot, but a lot of times the lack of mobility is something teams take into consideration. There was, of course, the ability Artemis meta for a while there, but she's back in a more normal place, Freaky.
Yeah, she's always a come and go character in Smite metas, and we see her quite a bit for a certain amount of time. Some usually it's followed up with she gets a decent buff or items she likes to build get a pretty good buff. But she's back in that spot of if you're really good with Artemis, you should play her, and I think that's where we're at right now, and that's why we're seeing her.
100% the Baba Yaga lock in. So big damage from Calder's good boys.
Hmm.
Not wanting to play any games, wanting to compete with that Agni, but and it's funny, honestly, jinx to chat. Fricky, I was just about to ask you, no Erlang Shen, no ban, no
Yeah,
pickup here. I'm very surprised.
I mean we still have one more pick to go on the
Surely, right?
side of yeah. I mean we still got one to go, and they need their jungle. It could be an Erlong jungle from Death Dealers. But you're right, it is kind of surprising because even if he gets locked in that 10th slot, that's a 10th slot Erlong pick with a meta that really facilitates the way that you want to play with you way that Erlong wants to play, I should say.
Hmm.
It would be an interesting pick, and I think it would definitely fall into their composition. But that's not what we're going to see, actually. We're going to see the Nemesis lock in, which I also don't have a problem with. Nemesis into just about the entirety of Calder's Good Boys comp seems like a pretty good pick.
Off the wall, but yeah, good pick. Not somebody we're seeing a lot lately, but that doesn't always mean the character is bad. One talking point I know everybody's loving to push right now is there is no pro smite this season, so the metas for competitive smite have been set by amateur leagues. It's the Franks and the Olympuses of the world setting what the amateur leagues are running and competitive for that matter. So
Yeah.
really exciting to see what that nemesis can do.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts about the amateur scene right now. Since we don't have pro scene, everyone's got to come up with their own metas and follow their own path. And so we're getting a lot of these interesting looking picks and team comps that come out that do work and do exactly what teams expect them to do. Uh, but we are in a situation in this meta in this current smite scene where we kind of have to develop it on our own, and it's just made the game in a way a lot more interesting.
Interesting indeed. Interesting game on the horizon. But before we get into game, we're going to send to a short little break. Don't go anywhere. Make sure your snacks are ready because game one is around the corner. Hello, welcome on back. Thanks for hanging out. Game one, right around the corner. Everything is solved and good to go. One more time. My name's Anthony Malum. I'm joined by Freaky G, and we're going to have Deacon pushing the production buttons today. It's actually game time now, Freaky. We're close.
And we're finally getting to that stage where we get to see the strategies unfold. And as we said on the desk, picks and bans are fun, but we're all here for this part right here, which is the gameplay aspect of it, and get to the point where not only is it the strategy, but also the execution, and both parts matter because both these teams made it to finals, and you can't make it to this point without obviously executing your strategies.
It's definitely a grind, and it's a grind for a good reason. And I always like seeing the heroes that pop up, the big moments that pop up. Even in your worst grand finals, there's always something. There's always some moment that you just simply cannot forget because it ends up being so impactful. Just a question of who is that person today, and a lot of these players got their comfort picks, Freaky. So a lot of potential for really anyone to be the one to step up and do it.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at what comps they had drafted, I mean, we're seeing a lot of like not necessarily meta picks. I mean, looking at the entirety of what Death Dealers brought to the table, it was Surtur, Nemesis, Agni, Sobek, and Rama. None of those characters, especially like the Nemesis and the Surtur, they don't make use of that Equinox blade. They really prefer the more ability based playstyle, and which is interesting because Equinox has seemed to be an item that you kind of just want on anybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of it's the golden bow, it's the
Mhm.
fatalis, it's the
Mhm.
Boomba's mask of the olden days, and now it's Equinox. There's always some item that rears its head that everybody has to grab, but hey, we're in game now. We're killing buffs. We're bungling, freaky. It's time. Kaldr's good boys are your order side. Death dealers will be representing the side of chaos. Grand finals, best of three. What lane we looking at, freaky? Where your eyes go early?
I'm definitely keeping an eye on this duo lane right now. We have this Artemis pick over here alongside the Ganesh. Not going to be a lot of pressure coming out of Calder's Good Boys in this early game, but what it is going to bring is a great late game team fight. It's just a matter of can they get to that point.
That's always the big question is can you get to the area where your character functions the most? Always eyes on a Thor, big eyes on the Nemesis, which is the interesting pick. No
Mhm.
blinks for either of these jungles though, Freaky.
Yeah, you got to play it safe right now. You kind of have an idea of what these junglers are going to bring. My Lanson and Noxus are both very well known in the amateur comp scenes, so most people will have a pretty good idea of how these guys are going to play and what they're going to bring to the table. But you got to be safe right now. It's game one. You really want to walk out of game one with that game one advantage of just being able to. Okay, it's game two. We have the lead. We want to try something out and see if we can throw you off your game.
Will it work though? Is always the big question.
Yeah.
Can you cook enough? Can you find enough shortcuts? This soul ain't already a brawl. Mr.
Hmm.
Nacho taking a lot of damage from Netherite Sword, but does get the chance to back up. But that pressure will be interesting. If that Bologna gets ahead, and honestly, the Surtur too, for that matter, it's going to be bad news bears for everybody involved.
Yeah, Bologna is going to do what she always does in any game, and that is pressure that lane and be a bully and come out ahead in the late game. We got a gank going on, though.
Yeah, Thor trying to do the same exact thing to Duo, get some pressure off, just gets the wall and doesn't like the opportunity presented.
Oh,
But right side of the map, Bologna in trouble, does get the dash off, but Nemesis is on her tail and has the autos. Can Surtur get the last tick of damage? No! Somehow Netherite Sword gets out of dodge just in time.
a much more impactful gank over in the solo lane from Death Dealers there. Getting that Bologna out of the lane means Surtur gets a little bit of a chance to free farm, get that totem online. Massive impact. Even if it wasn't a first blood, you're just happy to make this Bologna go away so Surtur can get that farm and get that free back.
And the free back is so big that you can't understate the value. And that solo lane looks like it's going to have a lot of attention, but the Thor was putting the attention on Duo. Do you think the Thor might rotate around and have a presence in solo, especially with Bull Demon King up on the map now?
He has to. In this current state of the game, you have to be on the right side of the map as a jungle. You have a 3-minute window in the game right now where you can play on that left side and make something happen. After that point, if you're not over here, oh, what an ult from Bologna.
Is there enough damage to follow up? And the bludgeon gets the bear backstep,
Oh.
so no kill on Surtur. The chance would have been better had that bludgeon hit, but unfortunately for Netherite Sword, not going to be the case.
I was really expecting a bit more of a powerhouse engagement from the Bologna, especially with no mana on Surtur, but this blue buff steal might be enough for that to matter. Not sure if it happened.
Actually got backed up on. The Surtur brought it too deep under tower, and looks like
Yeah.
Netherite Sword, the interest kind of waned a little bit. And understandable. You don't want to chase a Surtur underneath tower. The stun could prove problematic.
But back to what I was saying, you have to play on that right side of the map, especially after that Bull Demon comes up. If you give up that Bull Demon pressure, the snowball potential off that objective is so high that if you give up one, at least 2 or 3 of these early, you're setting yourself up for potential disaster. This objective has become so important very quickly to everybody for 2 reasons. One, global golden XP pre 10 minutes. That's massive. 2, the ability to see wards on the map without using sentries. You're costing the enemy team gold because they constantly have to back to replace wards. And you're gaining yourself gold, especially in your support, by just destroying the wards that are already present. So yeah, you have to get this.
Might have to get the Bologna. End of days for the commit. The Eagles rally, but was it a little too early on the slam? First blood for Death Dealers, but the answer is here from the Thor. The Berserker's barrage is enough. The kill is traded. It's 1-1 early on. Kaldr's good boys make it even.
That is a very smart play there from Mr. Nacho. I think he saw the Thor on that side of the map and said, I need to kill this person. I'm going to trade, but it's first blood for me. That's going to be a massive, push towards getting a lead on a character that you need to get a lead on. That bully potential, though, hasn't left the chat yet because Equinox is finished for Bologna. Mr. Nacho has not finished his item yet.
And you really need to get that stuff cooking up, right? It's part of the requirement, especially if on this Surtur you're going to go that route. You kind of need the benefits of going it. I mean, look at those stats of Equinox. I mean, Freaky, I'll let you really take us through it, but they're significant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not the craziest stat block in the world. 25 power, 20% attack speed is pretty absurd, I'm not going to lie, especially for a warrior. But the 7% movement speed is just a run it down potential. You're healing whenever you're autoing or doing more damage. You can't turn your back on a person with this item. The stat block's not impressive, but it's that passive that makes this item so strong. And that's one of the reasons why the Bologna went from even laning phase to I'm bullying you out of lane right now.
Yeah, exactly. The bullying, and some more bullying. I mean, it's Spider-Man 2 hallway scene, absolutely. If it continues up.
Yeah, and that's what it really reinforces the Bologna playstyle as well. You go into laning phase on Bologna, you need to do that. You have to bully the lane. If you're not bullying your lane opponent, you're not winning the game, period. It's just going to require so much of you. And this is what I was talking about with the Thor being on the wrong side of the map right now. You can make these rotations to do a lane, but you have to make something happen. And it's at the point right now where just invading the jungle isn't going to be enough. You have to gank and get kills. You have to, make somebody back. You have to get a Gold Fury just to balance out that early objective of Bull Demon. And Death Dealers grabbed the first objective on the map.
There's a slam from Thor, but if nobody's around to follow up, doesn't make a sound quite yet. The Baba Yaga attempted to, but no sound indeed. Kaldr's good boys just back up. But again, you're right. I mean, purple buff, green buff, they're all around the belts of Death Dealers. Just no fear whatsoever from that Thor, which if you're going to commit to the left side, has to be there indeed. Although Dirty Bubble did get pushed back and is a bit low, and Nemesis is lurking, so there's always a chance.
Yeah, we got her sitting on this right side jungle. Artemis is low. I'm up in the air.
And 2 hits. That's a 3rd hit. No, it doesn't. Are you feeling it? Rama is, but the auto off. Artemis still alive. Nemesis is here too. You just need a dash and a slice and dice to get the kill. It's there. My Lanston goes down. Or excuse me, my Lanston gets the kill. Dirty Bubble goes down. Just took the dash in from the Nem, and the escape is certainly possible. There is a Thor lurking, but right now it's just Ganesh here. And with everything online for Death Dealers, this is a scary commit for the Thor, now also scary for the Baba Yaga. Two fights split. The one on the left is the most dangerous one for the Nemesis, who's already going to go. Maybe not. Thor has to hit something on the way out. The silence was real good. There's the wall. A bit of a lag spike, but the double tap don't care. My Lanston goes down. Now back to the Baba Yaga, who dies to the Sobek. That's what you get for taking two fights at once. No backup required. Thor to the air. Fine, I'll hit you with my biggest possible gun. Rama and Agni both want the fight still. Thor just decides to leave. Ganesh gonna catch up. Artemis on the way, and Artemis does have Tusky. If you go under tower, there's a Tusky waiting. There's a Tusky. Ganesh still alive. So back gonna go down to Dirty Bubble.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there, and some of it I can't even begin to explain. But the biggest part of this fight in duo lane is how things went in mid. Sobek gets that kill on Baba Yaga, gets the ability to let his mid laner rotate over, and that's kind of where we're not done yet.
Agni's paying rent in this duo lane, and Dirty Bubble, that's the landlord that nobody likes. And enjoy the graycation, Artemis.
That's twice in 1 minute that Artemis has spent back in gray screen. That's not good. We were already talking about how this character needs to get not even a lead, just stay at level with lane opponent, and we're not going to see that now. 1 and 2 pre 10 minutes, you're already a level down on Rama, who is still farming and falling back for buffs right now. This Artemis is going to be spending a lot of time in this lane now, trying to catch up. If Whoosh is on his A game, he's not going to let that stay. He's not going to let that Artemis stay over there and farm easily. He's going to be in Dirty Bubble's face.
Certainly does make sense indeed. Now Thor and Bologna on this right side do secure blue. BDK is the main target, but Death Dealers let go of the target to look for the fight. Baba Yaga already away. Thor gets caught, stunned, now to the sky. Gets away in time, but it's going to be dangerous to come back down. No, the burn! It's too much! And down goes Noxus. That's no more Thor for this fight. The Baba Yaga and the Bologna are both already so low. Now the Nemesis ult on 2-1 to chase them out. I don't like the chances for Bologna, especially with where Baba Yaga's going. No backup from your mage. The pluck will catch Ganesh, though, luckily for that Baba, and the chase died on Bologna. Death Dealers had less of an interest than we may have thought.
They definitely were all in it for the Bull Demon King. I love the call to drop there and fight. They get the Thor, who dies to dot damage in the midair. That's kind of rough. Feels bad if you're Noxus. So they don't get the impact of the Thor ult to try to steal Bull Demon King or make a fight go their way. Good job from Mr. Nacho on the target allocation there to go on the jungle. It's still early. He doesn't do a lot of return damage, even with Hydra's procs. And that's kind of where they get this Bull Demon fight from, is just the ability to take one out and go on, take out the key target as well, and then go on with their business.
Thor is lurking. All the patience in the world for this Rama, but there is a Nemesis who is close by if this Thor overcommits and just looks for the Comet and then backs up. Nemesis will be waiting. Hammer already used. Nemesis there, 2-level advantage, a lot of damage. Good. Oh. Thor reads the same thing, and to the sky, and away goes the Thor. Freaky, I wanted to ask you, looking at the Surtur running the Equinox, I mean, I don't know how much time we even have. We might have to retouch on this later with Gold Fury being pulled up, but I got to know if that item is the play. We'll see if it is for this next fight, having the Equinox online. Gold Fury going down quick. Could already be gone. Rainfire bombs for the secure. Bologna almost got there first, but Death Dealers do get the Gold Fury. But what about the fight after the fact? Baba Yaga down to a quarter. Surtur in the sky comes back to Bologna to get the solo laner away from diving on those backliners. Now Kaldr's good boys with the re-engage. Sobek low into the water to get away. Death Dealers want their prize, but Jaeger wants Sev and gets the kill onto the Sobek. Death Dealers continue the retreat, and they will get away, but they do lose the Sobek, and they might lose the Stygian Beacon as well.
That's a good play from Death Dealers, trying to get at least the return kill. Take down Sevo. It's the support, not the ideal target, but you're still happy to get something. You've missed out on 2 Bull Demon Kings and a Gold Fury now. That's a good play to at least try and find a way back in it. They also get Beacon, so it doesn't fully even it out. You're still about 1,500 down in gold. But that's what this team that Kaldr's Good Boy has drafted, is this is where their strengths are going to lie, is in their team fight. Once these guys get to that late game portion, this is where we'll start to see them shine. And we got a little bit of a spotlight right there in that Gold Fury pit.
You do indeed, and hey, it's calmed down, so we can dive in. Do you
Yeah.
like the Equinox and the Surtur, or would you prefer the Sekhmet Scepter?
So here's the
Or the
problem with
Healing
it.
Scepter, excuse me.
Yeah. Here's the problem with it. Equinox is such a good item, and I said this before last week in semis. You're in a position where you have to build this item, even if it's not ideal for the character. The item brings so much in power and passive that if you're not building it, you're actively hurting not just yourself, but your team. You're healing yourself when they're facing you. You're dealing a whopping like 73 damage, extra damage in auto when they're facing away from you. You have to have this item. And Surtur is not necessarily, he's an ability based character for sure, but he's also really dependent on those auto attacks. He's doing a lot of auto canceling, so you kind of have to have the item.
Rama has rotated over for the Pyromancer and almost got caught out, but Thor took a lot of damage. To the sky, let's wave high in the sky. On the landing, Thor goes away, and Rama just uses the damage well. Thor could have looked to potentially dive back in, but instead does go away. We'll see if the fight continues on the Pyro. So far, answer is yes. Death Dealer's there first. Nemesis taking a lot of damage from the Baba Yaga, too much. Netherite gets the credit. Now dives in with the Eagles rally onto Rama in the back line. The Death Dealers will get the Pyromancer in the meantime, but look at the blood that Kaldr's good boys are drawing out. Jaeger already finds one onto Floosh, no more ADC. Meanwhile, you're losing your tier 1 tower in the left. A really rough fight for Death Dealers, but at least they got the Pyro, at least.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you get the Pyro, you get the T1. Like I said, Dirty Bubble's not going to really be in these fights, but look at what we got to see from Kaldr's Good Boys in a 4v5 scenario over an objective. They had to make something happen. They made something happen. They forced the Thor out with the ult. That's like 40% of your team fight gone, but Kaldr's Good Boys said, well, we still have a Bologna ult. We still have a home sweet home.
Right.
Let's make use of it. And they did. They walk in there. They don't get that objective, but they find 2 kills. My Lanson just a little too far out in that start of that team fight, gets put away pretty quickly. And then they find their next kill on Sevo once again. Was it Sevo? No, it wasn't Sevo. It was somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to look through here. But the point is they find 2 kills. And also Kaldr's Good Boys gets that T1. That's a good start for them. And again, if Kaldr's Good Boys get their way, their team fights are going to look immaculate. That's what they're going to win this game on.
Team fights, and more team fights is how you win the game, but you do need the big guy with the big hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of required to function.
If we see this Thor in one fight get to
Just
use
one,
him
right?
aggressively, it's a completely different game. Death Dealers probably just straight up get decided, and I'll take that one to my grave.
Well, we'll definitely check back in on the next fight if the Thor does commit in. Artemis, though, got a big tier 1 tower and caught back up in gold while there was a little bit down and grabbing a ward post pluck. Bubble, always persistent. How big is that tier 1? How big is it to keep the Artemis up to date with the Rama in terms of gold?
Well, it's not just the tier 1 that got value. It's also all the waves that he was able to farm while that team fight was going on. If you look at the levels right now, dead even. If you look at items, he's only a 1 tier away from being at item difference with Floosh right now. So he got a lot of value out of not rotating in that situation, especially whenever your team is also winning a team fight when you're not there. That's a good sign for him and for the rest of his team.
Rama is in the mid lane right now. Artemis is still farming up on the left. Do you need to rotate to this beacon?
It would be ideal. Again, team fight for Kaldr's Good Boys just looks really good. But pushing that T2 also wouldn't hurt, especially since you know your team already has the ability to play the 4v5. But it looks like he's going to rotate. This could be a really big team fight.
The beacon is up, ready to capture Thor in the sky on the landing. In between three, gets a couple, and the damage is good, but look at that stun right back in the Kaldr's good boys. The damage does work out for the blue side. They're able to find one right away. It's the Sobek. The house is doing numbers to the Agni. Noxus is cleaning up Lanston. This is that team fight we're talking about. The snipes are a response, but everybody's still fairly healthy. Somehow, I feel you, Death Dealers. It doesn't make sense, but it happened. And that fight goes Kaldr's good boys. They drop 2 and get this Digi-V. Can the Thor get out? No! I thought for sure you'd get out, but hey, it does get you a swoosh.
That is exactly what I've been talking about the entirety of this early game. Once the Kaldr's good boys 5-man up, it's a very hard fight for Death Dealers to take. And the Death Dealers just made a massive misplay. For one, why are we trying to kill a Bologna at the start of the fight? That's a terrible decision. You're not taking him down that quickly. You don't have any burst. You don't have any... You have Executioner and Kensize, yeah, but Whoosh can't do the damage fast enough to take care of that problem that quickly. The other problem is you group up so tightly on that very small portion of the jungle that Bologna hits a 2-man ult, Ganesh gets a 3-man Dharmic Pillars, and Thor hits a 3-man ult on top of Pillars. There were 3 people who systematically did not get to play the game for 5 whole seconds in that team fight. You can't fight these jungle fights against Kaldr's good boys, let alone anywhere on the map.
No fun allowed.
Mm-mm.
That's the key. No fun allowed whatsoever. And Death Dealers, though, seeing opportunity, do pick up the Pyromancer. Bologna and Thor could look to collapse, but the vision is lacking until you send a Raven Ward. Pyro low does go to Death Dealers. There's nothing Kaldr's good boys could do in time, even with the very pretty Raven Ward, but unfortunately, pretty was all it was.
The persistence is nice. I'm glad Death Dealers didn't take the L right then and there off of a team fight loss. They said, okay, we can still do something here. They're spread out on the map. They all made their backs. They got the beacon. Let's go get an objective and make sure this doesn't spiral out of control. They've got a 2K. They're down on a 2K deficit right now, which they were at like a 1,500 lead. So making that play keeps them as close to even as possible. And they knew they didn't have to take a fight for it. But this Gold Fury, on the other hand, that's where it's going to change. And I really need to see Death Dealers do what they've been doing before that last team fight. They've been finding Noxus early on and forcing him to ult out in order to survive, making him choose between using his ult offensively or defensively, and usually having to prioritize defensively or he just dies. If they can get him to do that again, they actually have a really good chance at winning a team fight. But they got to do it, and it's going to be much harder now with the state that we're in this game.
Ganesh has really committed in and taken a lot of poke for it without any full committal from Kaldr's good boys. Now Surtur here will beat Bologna to the rotation for the Primal Fury as Death Dealers do pick up that Primal Fury and start it up, but Surtur is 1v9 to keep the enemy back. Bologna now here, Eagles rally on in, gets plucked away instantly with the late beads as well. Thor to the sky, Tusky gonna hit a couple, that sets up for the Thor, big landing, it's 2, it's Primal Fury for Kaldr's good boys. Now come the kills if you can lock them down, and look how deep Mr. Nacho is, look how gray Mr. Nacho's screen is, but the same can be said for Netherite Sword. It's a solo trade, but look how low Death Dealers are! Noxus finds Floosh, and Kaldr's good boys scare away the Death Dealers. And honestly, the fights, they keep going the way you're saying, Freaky G. I'm going to need something for Death Dealers from you for them to pick back up some kind of momentum.
Yeah, it's like I said, they need to get Noxus to use that ult defensively, or at least use it early so he doesn't get value out of it. And I mean, if you're talking about value in a team fight or value on an objective fight, Noxus finds it immediately. He dives in with that ultimate, stuns 3 people one more time, and is also the reason that they get that steal. He goes in, full combos the Gold Fury after ultimate, and takes it home for his team. You lost your solo laner in the process, but so did Death Dealers. You're not concerned. That's a great play from Kaldr's good boy. Keep that up. This is going to be a game 1 win for Kaldr's good boys. I'd say in 30 minutes, maybe a little over.
You've been really on it with calling out gold for us so far, but what's been really interesting around it is these experience leads. 3 in solo, 2 in ADC. it's one of the reasons these fights have felt so one-sided. I mean, it goes alongside you asking for them to pick it. But for Death Dealers, you mentioned you think this is a pre-30-minute game. What can you do then if you have a time limit of less than 8 minutes now and you're behind in experience? What fights can you take? How can you get back in this game?
For one, you go where this Artemis is. She's always separated from her team. You make a full rotation over there and take this carry out. You're going to make her either ult, which gives you the ability to team fight, or you kill her, which still gives you the ability to team fight. Once that carry's gone, you're taking pressure off the map because, I mean, she obviously has been content to split push throughout the entirety of this game. And that also allows you to put pressure back on the map. Let Flush push that lane back up, maybe get a T2, or let them group fight with you on an objective and take the biggest objective on the map, which is Fire Giant. That's a realistic portion right now that you can go for as well. If Nacho can go into a team fight without having to worry about Dirty Bubble hitting him for 500 on an auto because he's getting crit, he can win a fight for you. And that's the biggest difference.
Looks like Kaldr's good boys are on the same page as you, Freaky. They are trying to speed run this game. It's a Fire Giant pull just before 24 minutes. Bologna will play the defense for that Fire Giant, but Death Dealers aren't having too tough of a time breaking through. Bologna commits onto the Agni, but the Eagles rallies off the mark. Now the Tusky, now the damage, now the death. Already a dead Sobek. Add the Agni to the pile of bodies for Kaldr's good boys. Nemesis 2, why not? Double kill for Noxus. Kaldr's good boys are cleaning house at this Fire Giant. They will not be denied the big time objective. Door out of the sky. I'm surprised there wasn't a commit onto the Rama, who I guess does have full relics. Would have been scary, but now Fire getting pulled. Rama is your contest. Surtur doesn't have TP. It is on the way over. Now Beats forced. Rama holding on to ultimate still, but it's going to be tough. You have to know how low Fire is, but there's no vision to know when it gets low. Now Bologna is keeping you away as well. So Kaldr's good boys can chip away. Can you find the pick onto Bologna instead? Maybe so. Ganesh also low. If you get it there in time, Kaldr's good boys get the fire. Surtur is here, but the chase is not going to be there. It's a full-scale retreat to celebrate their Fire Giant.
So that is the exact opposite, by the way, of what I was wanting Death Dealers to do. Not only did you take a fight, not only did you not pick ideal targets and take a fight whenever there wasn't an ADC to worry about, you also took that fight in a 4v5 situation on an objective, which is what Kaldr's Good Boys want you to do. If you're going to fight me on the map, Kaldr's Good Boys is saying, if you want to fight me on the map, you're going to fight me on a Gold Fury, on a Fire Giant. You're going to fight me where it hurts. And Artemis gets the ult off, stuns all 4 members. Foosh, nowhere to be found. He had to push that left lane back up at the risk of losing his tier 2 tower. This is a good attempt at a steal, and he gets it. So that's at least something.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, Foosh was on it. You know, it's unfortunate you couldn't do that at Fire Giant, but with the Bologna in your face, it was too tough. So good to know. You know, honestly, pocket that knowledge that Foosh is on it with those snipes. But now 4 minutes to go on the freaky timer for Kaldr's Good Boys to end this game. Are they still looking good for it?
This Oni Fury is going to slow them down, so we're now at maybe a 32-minute game rather than a 30-minute game. But they're still in a position to just push these waves or just push these towers down. Tier 2s definitely are going to go. There's no stopping them from getting these Tier 2s. Otherwise, maybe going to have to wait for next Fire Giant. Maybe actually wait for the 30-minute point just so they can get the enhanced Fire Giant. But it's also based on what Death Dealers are going to do. They need to play these engagements smartly and play these defenses correctly.
Objectively correct choice to let that tier 2 go and fall back to your Phoenix. Some golden pocket from Surtur, who does grab the tier 1 in solo, but here come the good boys. Eagles rally. Dharmic, Tusky, anybody else want to press 4? Yes, says Baba. Yes, says Thor. Down goes Floosh. The response is decent so far, though. Artemis is dropping low and is gone, but a double kill for Jaeger first on that Baba. Surtur stunned out. Sobek low. Sobek gone. Surtur, the last one standing. That 30-minute clock was too much to deal with, it seems. Surtur will be that last one standing. Can you get back? The Phoenix is going to fall. Will this be an end? There's a blink. The commit for the kill. Misses Bologna. Gets stunned out. Goes down. Deicide for Kaldr's Good Boys, and it should be game. Netherite Sword going to not back, and here's the Titan. There it is. I got scared for a moment, but Freaky, Kaldr's Good Boys call it 20 7 minutes, 40 seconds ish will be the end of game number 1.
Okay, 3 things to go over there. 1, great call from Kaldr's Good Boys, recognizing they had the ability to go for Phoenix there. Death Dealers send their solo laner, of all people, to split push the right lane and make a tier 1 tower go down. Not worth it at all. You need your 5-man defense, especially whenever 5v5s haven't looked very good, let alone 4v5s. 2, why go back in there? You're Surtur. You're trying to kill the support. You're not saving the game in that situation. Get back on Titan where you have the ability to save the game.
And you could have
3,
healed.
and you could have healed. Very true. 3, Calder's Good Boys cannot have this draft again. You can't allow Bologna to be going through like this. It's very clear that Netherite Sword plays a really good Bologna on a character who's really strong right now. And also just having that much team fight potential. They were behind in the early game. It didn't show. You would have never known that. If you had joined us at 15 minutes, you would have thought that Calder's Good Boys were just winning the game from minute 1.
Agreed, and it did seem like a lot of Kaldr's Good Boys just kind of needed some warming up. Noxus needed to get a couple Thor ults under their belt. Same thing for Netherite Sword, and Dirty Bubble just needed some farm online. Once all those things started to pile up, plus of course the Baba Yaga, who did big numbies at the end, it felt like it was Calder's Good Boys game to lose, and they had no interest in doing that. They just were ready to win. And for Death Stealers, you're now on Death's Door. Match point for Calder's Good Boys Freaky. So we'll be right back on Frank's retirement home with game number 2. Do not go anywhere. Hello, welcome back. Hope the snacks and the drinks are all refilled and ready to go. It's game number 2 between Kaldr's Good Boys and Death Dealers. Kaldr's Good Boys are one game away from calling themselves the Canes champions, but Death Dealers, I said it once, I'll say it again, they're on death's door. My name's Anthony Malum. I got Freaky G by my side with Decan pushing buttons. Freaky, what's the key? How do you come back here for Death Dealers? Are we still harping on Bologna?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, for one, either you take that god off the map. As I've stated once already, she makes really good use of Equinox, which is just an item that you have to be building in this meta right now. And or two, you find yourself a better matchup or something that can equal that. But it's not just the Bologna for me. It's the entirety of Calder's Good Boys composition that wins that game. There's so much CC. There's so much team fight presence. Bologna's not even the major get back for that one. It's
Right.
all on Noxus more than anything, if you're thinking about it. He made so many plays, steals a Gold Fury, gets multiple three-man stuns in that game. You've got to whittle down the CC potential of what they're trying to bring.
And that does feel really difficult to do. All right, I got to bring it up. I got to bring up the elephant in the room. There is the Bologna ban you were asking for, so a big
Mhm.
positive there. The Thanatos. I understand that it's completely associated with Noxus. I've seen it myself this season, but is it really worth to be a top 3 target band in this scenario? I mean, Thanatos is not the most amazing character in the meta right now, and Thor performed incredibly well, and you're also leaving room for things like a Sun Wukong.
So yeah, it's kind of like a weird situation you're in, especially after that last game, because Noxus does such a good job on the Thor, and you don't have nearly as much setup potential on a Thor as you would on a Thanatos. Thanatos hovering death, you go up into the sky, you can fly around and aim how you need to get your target prioritization right, or just to get the most out of your stun if that's what you're looking for. Thor, on the other hand, doesn't have that ability. You're in the air, you're static. You have to find your targets from the position you're in. So on one hand, maybe the Thor's the better band, but on the other hand, why give him an easier game?
Exactly. Why would you ever do that? And okay, so here's something interesting. The Odin Hover coming out from Death Dealers. I've seen a multitude of Odin stay. We were just talking about the games I was casting before coming on over, and I've seen Odin be utilized as a flex pick a lot today
Mhm.
because everybody's expecting that Erlang in the jungle, but Odin offers jungle presence, possible solo, and possible support if you want to get real nuts with it. Do we think this is tried and true? It's an Odin solo, or are we flexing?
I definitely think this is a flex pick. I've never known my Lanson to play this pick, but I mean, uh, excuse me, names are escaping me. Nacho plays that pick. We didn't end up picking it, but Nacho would play that pick. Sebo would play that pick. So, it's a good pick no matter what we're doing here. But unfortunately, it didn't get locked in, which means we get to talk about a different thing, the Achilles, which is even weirder in my opinion. I'm not sure how I feel about this pick, man.
It is a weird one. Does it fall into the flex potential in your mind, or does this have a role? You seem very familiar with the selections for Death Dealers, and Ares does set up a lot, but what lane?
Hey, I'm gonna bet on solo lane. There's not really a. I mean, we're in a jungle meta where this Achilles pick could thrive in. To be honest, yeah, it's not someone who utilizes Equinox super well. He's really relying on his abilities to do his damage for him. But you still have one major tool in your kit that doesn't care about that sort of thing, and it's called an execute, and that can change the game for you in a lot of situations. Same as the reason why we're not seeing the Thanatos get through. An execute can just kind of ruin a good fight, could just turn into a bad one in a matter of seconds with the right execute. So it's an okay pick. I would prefer to see it in the solo lane if we're gonna have it, especially since it's up against this Wukong. He kind of does well into being pressured. The Achilles, I mean, it's weird because it's not his meta right now, but it doesn't mean he can't be utilized in this meta. So it's difficult for me to place him.
There is so much to cover. These top 6 picks are very interesting. The Morgan Le Fay, a little bit less so, but still one of the more uncommon mid laners we're seeing. The Terra
Mhm.
does feel completely on brand. The Terra is in an amazing spot. A lot of your top end supports are saying that this is one of the best, if not the best support you can grab up right now, more so than even others who are being prioritized over the Terra. But the Uller response has now made the Death Dealer's team completely unique to what we both have seen and expected to be seen.
So what I think about this Uller is 1v1 potential. If we saw in game one, Floosh had a really good game on the Rama at the start, had the ability to pressure that Artemis out of lane. If you put him on this kind of character in the duo lane, you're going to have that ability pressure rather than auto pressure, but you're going to also have the ability to 1v1 the Artemis if necessary, and if they go back to it. And you're also giving your team another like in here. You're going to have a little bit more CC off of your backline. Same thing with this Giannis. We're not seeing a team fight composition coming out from the Death Dealers, which is a little bit more of what they had last game. But you are seeing a very strong pick comp. This Uller will thrive in both situations, but it's also really going to help that laning phase.
Artemis Thor on her Rama round out bans. Now, I was just going to say that leaves a couple hyper carry ADCs open, Ishtar being one of them, and that is the go to for Kaldr's good boys. Clearly, Dirty Bubble has a type today, and that is your hyper carries. Daji alongside it, which is a good answer, I would say, Freaky, to the Giannis.
Yeah, the Daji pick here is massive in terms of potential when it comes to their team fight strategy. If Giannis uses his ult or a portal to get out, you have Chain that can grab him through a wall. It doesn't matter where he's positioned. And you can also follow him through it if you just use your three. So love the Daji counter pick for these guys. Also really like the Ishtar into the Uller. If Uller tries to get aggressive, you can just simply dash at him and backflip away. Maybe don't get caught by an axe if you're fast enough. There's a lot of presence in this composition from Calder's Good Boys again, but the main thing is that it stays true to what they were already doing. It's not the Baba Yaga, it's the Morgan Le Fay. A lot of backline pressure coming from the ADC and mid on Calder's Good Boys. And the main thing is all these characters, except for the backline, are very hard to pick. You can't just take a Terra. You can't just kill a Wukong. You can't just kill a Daji. They all have ultimates that get them out of a situation very easily. And if they play the team fight style against this pick composition from Death Dealers, they're likely to win this game. There's a lot of pressure on Death Dealers right now to do well. And it seems like they may have crumbled under it.
Shouts and ups to those who called the Raven going to the jungle and Achilles. We rocking solo, so we're on page with that. Little Birdie told me we're getting a bit of a role swap here as well, where Noxus will be going to the ADC role and Dirty Bubble will be picking up the jungle mantle. I mean, you're up one game, so you've got a game to play with, but is that a risky swapping roles around, Freaky, or are you comfy with that choice?
You're up one game. You're in a best of three situation. You have the ability to test your opponent a little bit to see if they can uh, play into that pressure. So yeah, I think this is a okay call. Might be a situation where um Dirty Bubble probably doesn't have the best Noxus, or maybe he's a or Noxus doesn't have the best uh excuse me, Ishtar, whereas or maybe Dirty Bubble just plays a better Daji. It's really a lot of questions that you could ask there, but I think the change is okay because, like I said, you're up one game. It's Death Dealer's set to lose right now. They have to be the ones to play this game well, not you necessarily. So we'll see if it makes it. We'll see if it matters. But in the terms of how things went last game, I don't think it will.
Hopefully so. If your Calder's good boys, you want to continue rolling through with the momentum that you worked so hard to earn in game number one. So for Death Dealers, with the Giannis, the Ulder Raven combo, that tells me that we're playing for minimum. We're not trying to do anything significant till mid game, but we're really playing to get really late. And the previous game, you said it was going to end by 30. It ended at 27-30.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean for Death Dealers? Are you trying stall tactics or are you just trusting in your gameplay?
Uh, Really, if you look at the way Death Dealer's composition lined out, they actually have a really strong early game. They did last game as well. The early game from them was pretty good. The ADC role in particular had a really good early game, but that's just because Artemis is a I need to get to level 20 as fast as possible and then be relevant type of
Right.
character. This time around, they aren't waiting for level 20 out of their ADC. They have an early game jungle, or not an early game jungle, but they have a character who can farm well in the early game in jungle. But Death Dealer's composition, which is what we're really trying to talk about, have a composition that is even stronger early and have the ability to maybe not let the game go 30 minutes this time because you can use that pressure off of Ares, that early game presence off of your ADC to just kill people. And your jungle's rotations are going to be solid because the CC and damage that he brings at level 1 through 3 is pretty significant. So Death Dealers just need to play around their strengths, and that strengths is pre-10 minutes.
A flip on the head in terms of relics for the junglers, both going Blink. Same can be said for Ares. Nobody's surprised to see that. And everything else does feel pretty normal, pretty on par as far as relics go, but the Blink addition for the junglers does mean our early game will be way more dynamic, Freaky.
Yeah, we're not going to see the safe play this time around, and that's perfectly fine because we're on junglers that need to be active. Dirty Bubble needs to get in a lane and just find a kill very quickly so that way he can get that lead. Same goes for Robin, though. Once these characters get to late game, their damage doesn't necessarily fall off, but it doesn't get much better either, so it's all about burst potential from these jungles, and blinking in, getting a kill as quickly as possible is going to be the play. You don't want to be safe right now. What is interesting, though, is not getting beads into an Ares. When this Ares starts to rotate, Daji doesn't have powwow, it could mean disaster.
Well, Daji rotating on the Ares head right now, and it turns into an early first blood for Noxus. The jolt timing was perfect. And with 500 gold in pocket of the Ishtar, scary time to be the Uller.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tough start. Now, I was talking about the early game presence that the duo lane had with kill potential in particular. It's not gone, but it's much more difficult now, and Uller has a mana problem that you got to really work with, and once he gets to the point where he has to use all of his abilities to clear wave because oh no.
Nice portal. Will that be enough to find the kill? Especially with Jaeger standing there. Bubble, one more auto will do it, but the knockup is great from the Morgan Le Fay to save out the jungle named Bubble. Still one kill only. Oh, wow, we're walking back up to lane. I thought it'd be a nice old back, but no, we're feeling crazy. In game one, Death Dealers might get a bit aggro. Blink is online for that Robin, but same thing for the Daji. Maybe they trade places, go crazy. Giannis is out of mana. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, I like the decision there to keep the pressure on that lane. My Lanston doesn't have much mana to play with. He's probably got 2 abilities that he can throw out. Also keeps them in mid lane because, as we can tell, Wukong is getting ready to steal a blue buff. He's been sitting here for quite a while. Nacho has to deal with these waves. He doesn't have pressure. And it keeps everyone in mid. It keeps everyone from rotating out. My Lanston can't go help his solo laner at all. And with them having no mana, he absolutely has an ability to just turn around and try and get a kill there. So the pressure is very well placed from them.
It's party in the soul lane time. Somersault Cloud beats out the execute that hits Bubble in the face, but Bubble was plenty healthy for it. On the land down, my Lanston is down. That's 1 kill, the pull in onto Mr. Nacho. And it's a 2-for-1 for Kaldr's good boys in the solo lane. And they all go to the Daji. Wow.
So yeah, we're 2-0 on Daji right now. Solo lane may just be over. I don't really see a situation where he's able to come back from this in the next 5 minutes, not even 10. And that's a really interesting decision to get aggressive there from Death Dealers because my Lanston wasn't 5. He didn't have ult. He couldn't just Mystic Rush his way out of a bad situation there. And that's the only reason that Dirty Bubble's able to get a return kill. He had the powwow if he needed it. He used it. Pulled Nacho back in. That's the reason that they get the double kill. But the main thing is you get kickflip out of Robin and boom, all of that damage is just returned. You can now just kill the Robin for being all the way by your blue.
Kill, 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 and more kill. Both these teams love to fight. I know we saw that in the regular season as well, but it's showing up big time this finals for Kaldr's Good Boys in particular. No ultimate's used over on the duo side yet, so that's a bit interesting. And okay,
Yeah.
interesting choice of item for Mr. Nacho that we're building into.
Yeah,
Soul Eater?
it's not the worst thing. I mean, okay, he has a heal in his kit, and the item that he's going into, the Soul Eater, is an item that synergizes pretty well with him. So it's not a bad pickup on his part. We'll see if maybe he's able to get value out of it. Because Soul Eater is one of those items you cannot just build it. Oh,
Later.
okay, we may actually have a solo lane again.
We're awake. But look
Yeah.
at the counter engage. Left side, the counter invade, I should say. But nothing was up. Bubble on the hunt, but look, empty jungle, no pickings.
Good timing on my Lanston's part to go over to the solo lane and find the return kill. I don't know if Wukong had an ult there, didn't use it, which means likely. Oh, we found Dirty Bubble backing in the jungle.
And I don't know if I love the look here for Death Dealers. It might just be time to run, even with Giannis rotating over.
Yeah.
A re-engage on this fight could be very frightening, and looks like they do understand the same thing. They do turn around and hightail it out.
Yeah, Dirty Bubble wants to back. He wants to get that Hydra's. He might get the tier 2 here, which is going to be a pretty good place for him. Doesn't get the tier 2. Oh my.
That damage is real good. Now can you escape? There's no ult for Giannis, but Giannis' whole thing is chasing down and moving around. Oh no. Everybody close your eyes. If we all pretend we didn't see it, then maybe it didn't happen.
So, I'm not one to nitpick individual mechanical plays, but if he would have just portaled through the wall there and then did that, he would have killed him. But I think he might have been worried about the jungler showing up, so maybe a little concerned for his life there. Just Giannis playing for his life, which is a really good idea as well, because we're doing Bull Demon now, which, this is shocking. Bull Demon at 6.5 minutes.
Mr. Nacho does clean up a kill onto Netherite Sword, and ultimate not even needed, so now can rotate over to join the fun over the Bull Demon King, where Daji's already in the sky on the landing. Surprise! Here's some nachos, and Sev picks up the kill, ruins the moment, but that's okay. 3 kills now on the board for Death Dealers, tied up with Kaldr's Good Boys. Off the back of some good calls, there is an invade on the left side in response, but you feel great about what you grabbed.
So, I have done a very poor job in my analysis here. I need to be fired because I just realized something that Death Dealers have done in their composition. They do have a very good objective-based comp. If they're able to pull the objectives when nobody's watching, they don't have burn, but their burst potential is very high. And you have these characters that can drop and fight very well. You have good zoning potential from your jungle and your solo laner right now. So Death Dealers kind of pulled a fast one on me, and I need to be replaced as an analyst.
Jaeger, fast one pulled on them as well. There's the kickflip as you called it, and the final punch seals the deal. No more MLF in the mid lane. And a nice pickup for the Raven. A lot's going good for Death Dealers, but what's fascinating to me, Freaky, gold-wise, they're still 2K behind.
Yeah, it's just farming the map from Kaldr's Good Boys more than anything. They had also got that first blood, which is kind of a big deal, especially since, you know, it's a 500 gold pop. But there's 3 kills on the map, and 2 of them are on the jungle right now. This 2K lead that we're seeing from Kaldr's Good Boys, I'd say about 1,000 of it is on your jungle right now.
And oh no!
Trolled. Absolutely trolled.
What else could I mean? They get the kill, but like, come on. My keyboard would be in pieces. Controller across the room, neighbors calling the cops. Oh, so mad.
Yeah, I would. You know, you got to keep your cool in these situations. But if I'm Nacho, I'm definitely taking a look at Jet Forever there and saying, "Hey, man, what the hell was that?"
Yeah, like, do you hate me? Why do you hate me?
Oh, tough.
All right, well, let's get bearings. Coming up in 10 minutes, 3 to 5, and that gold lead is still sticking blue, which for Kaldr's Good Boys is where they want to be. We saw how much they were doing with experience leads in game 1, and while they're lacking that in some departments, they've got it on their hyper carry Ishtar. They've got experience 2,000 at that. Things are really cooking up to be a Kaldr's good boy. The question now becomes, first objective, who's the first to blink?
I guess you could say the Death Dealers already are. They did get that. Oh no, Ares.
Decent response. 2 ultimates will be drawn out, but that Ares is taking so much damage, and there's nothing that the Robin can do while the Daji's in the air on the come down from the powwow. The Ares will die. What can my Lanston do with Floosh here? Floosh brought a purple buff. That doesn't help anybody, Floosh. Get that thing away. It's still following my mans. Let it go. Robin's got to focus on Daji, but the blink going to be good. Now Floosh is open to Noxus. A blink back from my Lanston, looking to focus on Noxus. Floosh comes back in. Daji back around the side. Who's going to be the first to collapse in? The jolt into the incoming claw from Bubble. Oh my god, it turns around, but we're not done because my Lanston finds Noxus. Can you get away from that? So far, yes, they're baiting them back. You've got the Ares back. Bubble commits too far. The portal catches Bubble dead.
Neither. Oh, we're not done yet. Jaeger is actually going to fall low. Has to burn the ultimate here just to try to survive. Going to be able to get some of that
Wait,
healing.
that lifesteal! It's crazy!
It kept him alive.
What is
Had
happening?
to get the ultimate though. So this is where we see kind of Death Dealers have another situation that they thrive in. The extended team fights, the extended engagements are super strong in Death Dealers' favor. They really want these team fights to last a little bit longer than your average team fight because they have not necessarily sustain, but they have a lot of in and out potential. My Lanston goes in, gets that poke, walks back out. Same thing with Jet Forever. Ooh, gonna catch him on the proxy.
So we're just fighting now. Everything out the window. Fighting only. Gonna be a dead Netherite sword for Death Dealers. That's 5 to 8 now. 8 total kills in 12 minutes. It feels completely different for Death Dealers, and they can grab the BDK. Kaldr's good boys are not in a position to pull the Gold Fury on the left-hand side. So Death Dealers are looking in a great spot, but somehow, and I'm really bothered by this, quite frankly, the gold lead is just now coming close to being tied. It's actually still favoring Kaldr's good boys.
Yeah, you know, the best way I can explain it is just continue to keep farming. The rotation from Death Dealers, there were 4 people that just weren't farming there. There was a bunch of people on the right side of the map. And we're seeing an Ares ult. This could turn into a full-on team fight.
Netherite sword here. Giannis through the portal, but that puts Giannis in no man's land already. Maya Lanston doing what they can to try to help the Giannis disengage, but the options are low, and now the Blades of Retribution for the stun are good for Noxus to find one. Now you turn back to the main fight, where my Lanston's trading out, but trading out indeed as Jaeger finds one. Bubble handles Lanston. Now it's Floosh on the escape, and the Uldr gets stunned out and dropped 6 feet deep. Double kill for Bubble. 4 dead total for Death Dealers. Mr. Nacho was proxying out, and this is big for Kaldr's good boys. Now they can grab the Gold Fury as well.
Yeah, you took down 4 of them. All the steal potential is gone. You've lost that burst. You don't have Floosh. You don't have Jet Forever. You don't have my Lanston. Those 3 guys have the ability to steal these OBJs away if they're alive, which is why it's weird that they decided to take the actual standard team fight situation there rather than looking for the poke potential. It was a full-on commit. And the weirdest part about it is Jet Forever dives the backline, which is what you should be doing on Giannis, but not when you have no mana. You have no portal up. Your one portal to get you out of that situation is blocked because Dirty Bubble realizes your positioning, goes up into the powwow and just tells you, no, you're not going anywhere today, and we're just going to take your life for that fatal mistake that you just made.
And with the Absolution coming online for the Terra as well, the Ares, who's been so impactful in these team fights, has met a bit of a match in that Terra. Now everybody gets an extra beads when Terra presses 4, and that's no fun for anyone on Death Dealers to deal with. It's really tough now to be a Death Dealer, but they're going to pull Pyro. And it's going to be in the face of Kaldr's good boys. And matter of fact, Bubble is fighting out, is Is that my Lanston diving in deep? It's not looking pretty to be a death dealer, but they do get the Pyromancer. Now how will the fight go? My Lanston does turn it around on Bubble. This could be a positive. Blades find 2, get the stun back. The execute not going to find the kill onto the MLF. Mr. Nacho has to turn tail and run, but Deez catches Mr. Nacho. Now it's Noxus, and Noxus is down to Lanston for the double kill. Whoosh jumps in, knocked back. Ares 4 back up. And if I'm the MLF, I am just running until I can't see any red anymore. Does turn, gets a nice spear. That will help things out. And Netherite Sword can get the Ares, but Jaeger forgot about Jet Forever, who cleans them up. 3rd kill for the Giannis. Now time to get away, but the stun catches. The Tiger comes up short. It hit the Bastion. Now the portal's good. They can't kill the Giannis. The Cudgel doesn't do it. Finally, Jet Forever goes down. Deez will trade out, though, for stepping far up. That's a hell of a trade. 13-12. The fighting this game's insane. Not even fully done.
Yeah, it's still going on. Dirty Bubble is going to finally get this return kill onto Fwoosh. My Lanston may be able to get him back for his carry here, but it's going to be a tough one considering Noxus is right here, and he's going to stop that chase. Now you've got to deal with the other 2 members of the outside lane trying to take you down. He will finally get a little bit of distance here, but Netherite Sword is not going to give up this chase. The kill potential is pretty good, but now the support's here. It's all over. But that is exactly what Death Dealers want. They're thriving in the chaos right now, and they have a team that thrives in the chaos. You cause it just alone with having a Giannis on your team, portaling in and out, being every which way you don't want him to be. Oh, he's here. No, now he's not. Why is he in our backline type of calls? It's a very difficult kind of fight to have to play around, and Jet Forever is playing it very well.
They are, but I have the same concern I had the first never-ending fight, Freaky. The gold is still positive for Kaldr's good boys through all of this. We'll see if it turns here. The Blades will catch my Lanston. No, actually able to get the sidestep out. Just works out, but Noxus won't die regardless. So Kaldr's good boys and Death Dealers tied at 13, but a good gold lead for Kaldr's good boys through all of the chaos and experience. Not that much of a different story. It's all positive blue, Freaky. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where this gold is coming from anymore. I was saying it was something about farming, but in that situation, it was very clear no one was farming.
But now we're all fighting.
And now we're all fighting, and maybe they're just with the way these team fights are going so evenly and how they're long drawn out forever fights. It's not so much that they are gaining a lead; they're just not letting go of the lead they already had, and that's pretty fair to say considering how even the game is at this point. We're fighting on a beacon that's not up yet.
Sun Wukong did clear a tier 1 tower, so even more gold for Kaldr's good boys. Beacon around the corner, mid-tier 1 low. Who will fully commit? Feels like it has to be somebody soon. And here's the Giannis looking for the back line once again, but did commit the portal. And boy, did his team know that. To commit back onto Bubble. The pull-in from Ares, no good. Absolution denies it. Bubble on the land down, in trouble, but okay. Execute in range for MLF. Achilles looks for it. Aegis catches it instead. Now my Lanston onto the back line. Damage good. Mr. Nacho finds MLF, but it's turned back around. It's an ADC trading out. With Floosh gone, is your damage still there? Looks like Jet Forever commits to the back. With no ultimate online, Giannis is now TKO'd, and Kaldr's good boys still have a good fight. They're going to look for Sev, and they should bring down the Ares once they get through. Let's commit our ultimates, too. Why not? Let's kill this Ares at all costs. There goes the Ares. Now Bubble back in, but low. On the escape, will run into Giannis, and bang! But no! The blink is good! The Terra catches them both with a stun. Bubble still getting away. Jet Forever on the commit, gets caught by the Blades and stunned out, and still finds Bubble with the unstable Vortex. Meanwhile, Lanston punishes Netherite Sword for diving at the tier 2 tower. Netherite now on the escape. Floosh will combine with Nacho, stun. No good, Bird good. Jet Forever with the double, with the triple kill!
And that's what you want this mid laner to be doing right now, is just making himself a menace to deal with on the map. He's just showing up at every fight, getting immediately into the back line, and that's how Death Dealer's comp needs to win this. They have a ton of burst. They don't have the shred to deal with these tanks. That's why we're seeing Netherite Sword have such a blowout game on the Sun Wukong. There's just no way to properly deal with him. But Death Dealers are playing it so perfect as well. It's just not the stage of the game where they can win these fights back to front so effectively that nobody dies. If they keep killing the backliners like they have been, they're going to eventually get a complete team fight win, because then they can turn their attention to the real issue, which is Dees and Netherite Sword. That's just a matter of time right now, because, I mean, Jet Forever is just massive. Level 18 at 19, 20 minutes. Not ideal, but with all the fighting that's been going on and the least amount of farming that we've been seeing, it's perfect scenario for Jet Forever. 6'2" and 8 is the mid laner of Death Dealers. He's a threat on the map and a nuisance that needs to be dealt with.
I really like what you said, though. It's kind of a time limit. It's you only hit level 20 once, and sure, Jet Forever will be there first, but what can you make of it? They certainly have caught Dirty Bubble out. The powwow will be the response, and Netherite Sword will make their way over. It pulls in Jet Forever. Damage good already onto the Giannis. Sun Wukong sees the opportunity. The ultimate not going to find Bubble, and Jet Forever is caught in the back line and dead to Dirty Bubble. But Mr. Nacho is able to respond in turn and bring down the Daji. Kaldr's good boys will commit to the fight with no ADC as Ishtar is teleporting over. What will be left when the Ishtar gets here is the big question. Might be a lot of low health bars. Somehow MLF not dead, now dead. Double kill for Mr. Nacho. Ishtar here though, and everybody's low. Everybody hit the ground to Noxus. Look at the damage good so far. Netherite Sword cleans up Floosh. Sev, ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. Ashes, Ares goes down. Double kill for Netherite Sword.
And that's exactly what Death Dealers needed to, or not Death Dealers, Kaldr's good boys needed to do. They found Jet Forever in a really bad position, took care of the problem, and look what happens when he's gone. It's a full-on, well, not a full-on, but almost a deicide for Death Dealers. It's going to end up turning into one right here.
Barely delayed as Jet Forever respawns, but in all fairness, it's basically a deicide, as basically Mr. Nacho's dead. Jet Forever on the respawn, probably gonna take this fight if we learned anything so far, Freaky, and does step up with the unstable. Are you kidding me? How confident do you feel?
You've got to feel pretty confident. Don't let that death, tear you down. Don't let that be the reason you stop playing the same way you've been playing all game. You're on Giannis. You have the slippery ability to just not be present whenever they expect you to be present. And he can force the ultimate out of Netherite Sword just by simply walking forward. Do it every time then. Let's make sure that he has no ability to just get out. Unfortunately, he died.
All I can do is make a fart noise. Bubble now going to take the 1v2 with the dash in, looking for Ares. Everybody's here, everybody punishing. Down goes Bubble to my Lanston, but Primal Fury will go to Kaldr's good boys. Health bars are way too low in my mind to commit, but I no longer will trust in my own thoughts. So there's that. Look, I mean, see, they're staying. My Lanston's here. There's a blink online for this Robin, but hey, maybe we're turning a new leaf. Maybe being pacifist is the new play. Maybe we're not just waiting for Noxus to show face.
My Lanston could probably find a kill there if he goes in. They are recognizing that this guy is still not back. Noxus is going to get chained here. This could be a death on the ADC.
Hey, the Aegis, though. No way that works out, right? Surely? Yes! Noxus away. Netherite Sword, the hero. MLF there for backup, and Ares is incredibly low with D's coming back in. That should be a dead support from Death Dealers, and it's support on support violence. 14 assists for the Terra, for those keeping track of all the different kills so far. And man, what more are you supposed to say? I mean, at a certain point, it stops being Smite. It just starts being Brawl Stars.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at, but that's Death Dealers, again, they thrive on the chaos in team fights, but the problem is that the chaos has not been going their way, and they're starting to play these chaotic fights out in situations that they don't have their tool for the chaos. So here we go with Jet Forever. Gonna get jumped on here. May end up turning into his death one more time.
Ooh, the ult gets caught by the Tiger Stun and knocked back, knocked around through the wall. Somersault Cloud goes the wrong way. Deez does catch it. And now with everybody collapsing, looking for that Giannis, but Giannis bot Blink, baby! Not catching me today. The main fight will still go on without the Giannis there. My Lanston low, backing up the tier 2, gonna go down to Bubble. Now Death Dealer's turn. Look for the Daji. Netherite Sword falling back as well to help out. Ares ult will catch 3, bring back 2. Is there damage follow-up? No, there's not. Kaldr's good boys are just well and good so far. And Death Dealers have no damage to output without Jet Forever around. They have to find a new entrance. There's the entrance. The blink for Mr. Nacho. Has ultimate. Looks for the execute. It's body blocked. Now you'll die. That's what you get. Get off of my carry. But hey, surprise, Jet Forever. Unstable misses. Portal misses. Auto's not there. That's going to be an alive and well MLF, but Jet Forever on the hunt. Going around looking for Jaeger. Doesn't catch it. Here's the back. Unstable Vortex, no good. Now the ultimate for the commit. Doesn't find it, but Unstable's gotcha.
Okay, Jet Forever is on a hunt right now. The man just got hired to take down some kind of invasive species, and its name is Jaeger. The only shining light I have for anybody in that situation is that Death Dealers had gotten so many health bars low that Kaldr's good boys couldn't willingly commit to the Fire Giant or Pyromancer without having to take another team fight that doesn't go their way because they're pulling an objective at the same time. But now, maybe you can go
objectives
on a
equal L.
Yeah.
We're here to fight.
Yeah, the moment you start seeing these guys stop fighting around objective is apparently the moment that the game just goes wrong, or at least that's how they're acting. Finally do see an objective, though, at 26 minutes. And we see the other one, the Stygian Beacon. So Pyro in one hand, Beacon on towers in the other. We send Uller over to push those waves up. We're thinking about it, Death Dealers. I mean, they need that pick. They need a pick right now. They may be able to find one on this Fire Giant, but it's a tough call. And to be completely honest, it doesn't look like they knew it was going on until just now. They may be just too late.
Giannis ultimate is online. Fire Giant down to half health. Mr. Nacho already in the ring. Pal out early. Giannis ult off the mark. That could be very problematic for Death Dealers. Fire Giant at 10. Who's going to get it? My Lanston with the dive. Kaldr's good boys do get it. Now can he get away? Jet Forever comes around the back low. Doesn't matter. It's a drive-by and a dead Jaeger, but Nox is able to bring one back, but then gets executed. Turns back around for Bubble to find one on the Mr. Nacho. Now Kaldr's good boys regroup, re-engage, look for Whoosh. Jet Forever also low in solo, spotted out by the bird, the blink, the portal away. But look at the damage done. Kaldr's good boys with their best chance in a while.
Yeah, they got rid of the backliners, which is, Foosh hasn't made his way out yet, getting chased down by Tiger right now. Does have the jungler jumping on top of him, and Dirty Bubble will at least take care of him as well. But like I was saying, they got the backliners dead off that Fire Giant, so that means Jaeger and Noxus are not going to get the benefits of Fire Giant in these next couple of pushes. They do have the jungler here, which means they can at least take down this T2. If they don't do something like this where they get aggressive onto the Giannis, that's not going to care about them trying to chase them. Okay, we're going back to what we originally wanted to do. Thank goodness. But they got to play better around this Giannis. They've got to find him. I know it's a really hard target, and they were doing a really good job of it earlier, of sticking the Giannis, or sticking the Wukong onto the Giannis, who does have the best chance of anybody of chasing this guy down. But it kind of stopped happening right there at the end. Netherite Sword stayed focused on the objective, was paying more attention to Nacho than he was to Giannis. Sure, they didn't steal it away. Their ultimate was a little off time, and you probably stopped DPSing the objective as well, which helps that situation. But the fight after just didn't look great. You'll trade your jungle and solo if it means you're taking Fire Giant off of backliners. You'll do that every day.
Feels like the Uller needs to give some more damage to kind of respond to the Noxus as well. To Noxus, excuse me, to the Ishtar. Jet Forever has been most of the damage for Death Dealers with my Lanston, but that combo only can take you so far, as we saw in the Fire Giant fight. Oni Fury pulled, will go down to Kaldr's good boys, but big spread presence around the map for Death Dealers, so not interested in defending the tier 2, but you've got Floosh caught out and dead. Without Uller, this gets even harder. Now the Ares ult onto 2, but it's just an ultimate for survival's sake, as that tier 2 will go down. Why not take an Ares with it? Bubble gets that one. Death by 1,000 cuts is now the new description, as Death Dealers back on Death's Door, back against the wall. Phoenix Siege will begin. Where is your go point is the big question. Netherite says now. D says, I got your back. They step up. My Lanston on a counter engage. Gets knocked up. Can't find the kill. But both Kaldr's good boys low. Jet forever gone. That's the key. Can you get the rest gone? Noxus with a good beads and combines with Jaeger to bring down Mr. Nacho. And why not call game? Good boys indeed. Kaldr's good boys will take the grand finals. Call them champions. It's over. Write it up. Hell of an effort, but not enough. They're low. No way, Floosh. Get back to the fountain. This is our Titan to drop on this day. And it's over. Write it up. Seal it in cement. It's a legacy. It's Kaldr's good boys.
Very, very great game from Kaldr's good boys. Like I said, Death Dealers thrive in the chaos. And unfortunately, they didn't thrive enough. At one point, the chaos got so great that Kaldr's good boys were like, okay, well, if you want to play this way, we'll just start taking care of the problem. Jet Forever was doing a very good job in this entire game, goes 8-5-10, but the few times he gets caught out, it goes completely sideways for the Death Dealers, and it just ends up becoming a massive game of cat and mouse throughout the entire map. Never stopped to farm. It was fight, fight, fight throughout the entirety of it. And unfortunately, it just works out being the better way to go. But the biggest thing I recognize in this grand finals, this second game of grand finals in particular, is that, like I said, there was just no way to deal with these tanks. That's why you have such a blowout game from Netherite Sword in this final game of the season at 9-5-17. What an amazing game from him in the solo lane. Same thing for Dirty Bubble, 13-6-10. Great job from him to go in with Netherite Sword, realized who was carrying the game, and said, dude, I'm going in with that guy. He's winning it for us. Then it goes to Deese. Tried his best to keep backliners alive, made them live long enough that it was hard for these other damage dealers to do the back to front style of team composition deterioration. So in the end, great game from Death Dealers. The game 2 was a much better look for them, but unfortunately, Kaldr's good boys proving to everyone why they finished the season number 1 seed.
Game of cat and mouse, but who brought the damn shotgun? I mean, my God. That was some of the wildest fighting I've seen. It was a finals win, well earned indeed. I mean, it felt like eventually something had to break, right? You aren't going to fight forever and nobody win the game. If objectives, if gold, none of it matters. If you just want kills, eventually everybody will die and the opportunities will present themselves, freaking. And that's just what happened. So I mean, we're at the end. What's the final thoughts? What's the final word from you, Freaky?
My final words are great job, Calder's good boys, and way to prove to everyone why you were the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed goes home with the victory, and for good reason. They proved here exactly what makes number 1 seed look like that.
Number 1 seed doing number 1 seed things, but a heck of a fight put up by Death Dealers. And that brings us to the end of this. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's right. No, that's right. Yeah. Before we close this, just so everyone watching knows, uh, if you're interested in signing up for Frank's retirement home, if you've liked what you've seen this week between the Walkers grand finals and today's grand finals for Kane's division, we are closing signups tonight at midnight. So you
Ooh, get
have
on that.
at bare minimum about 6 hours until signups are going to close. That's Eastern time, so it's actually 5 hours based on Eastern time. So just get there as soon as you can. If you really liked what you saw here, make sure you get over into Frank's and get over there into announcements. Find that Google document. Get signed in. We've got 3 divisions next season: scooters, walkers, and canes. We're bringing in way more players. This is an exciting league, guys. So if you thought this was fun to watch, try and get in here.
If you want fighting, you know where to go. And with the added bonus of the scooter division, which, my God, you think there's fighting here? Get ready for scooters. You're gonna honestly, anybody who casts the scooter division should be given water and Excedrin before the match begins, and that should be essentially a requirement for signing on. But no, make sure you get signed up in the Discord. The links are in the chat, so get to those. Share it with your pals. It's a great league to do to get started in competitive as well as getting started with casting. I've heard a lot of casters getting their first starts around here, so consider
Mhm.
doing production as well. But that does actually bring us to the end this time. Congrats to awards winners. Congrats to Kaldr's Good Boys. Congrats to Death Dealers for making this far and putting up a valiant effort. My name is Anthony Malum. I was joined by Freaky G with Decan on production. Everybody have a great night. Be safe, and we'll see you next time in Frank's retirement home.